All right. It says we are live, so we'll see. Wait till it kicks on. Hello, Gun Nation. How's everyone doing this evening? Let's see here. Waiting for the chat to kick on. It says it's kicking on, so we will see what we've got here. All right. Looks like it is live. How's everyone doing this evening? All right. What we've got is we have Lynx Defense, Michael, and then we have Harry's Holster, which is Harrison. Y'all might know them. If you don't, well, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. How are you guys doing this evening?
Doing pretty good. Everybody on this chat probably knows who I am. I'm Harrison Jones. I'm the owner of Harry's Holsters, and I appreciate Big Johnson having us on tonight.
Definitely.
I'm Michael Savage, Lynx Defense.
All right. Yeah, we're excited to have you guys on. You guys make great products. I love your products, and I wanted to do this and kind of bring the small business into the mix and let people know who y'all are, how you got started, what you do, what you build, all that kind of stuff. And we will be taking questions towards the end. And I do want to give, let's see here, who was our first person? I think I lost him. It was Guy Comet. He won the first comment of the night. Guy Comet did. So I want to give him a special shout out. And we'll get to everybody we can here in a little bit. But and then also, if you're interested in Lynx Defense or Harry's Holsters, you can use my discount code. It's Big Johnson, capital B, capital J, all smashed together. And for Harry's Holsters, it's 10%. For Lynx Defense, it's 5%. So buy what you need. But I've got some questions for you. Tell me a little bit about, and we'll start with Lynx Defense. Tell me a little bit about what got you into the business and what made you get into the business that you're in.
So ironically, I didn't start out making bags. It actually started out as a kind of prepper company, so to speak. We were going to build basically a to-go prepper bag, and we couldn't find a backpack, ironically, that was made in the U.S. Now, I had actually had an idea, the concept that turned into the pistol bag for a long time, but I never actually knew how to make it, bring it to market, do any of that. Started doing research on it. Really was looking to make a backpack. Ended up finding someone who could help me get started, got started, made the pistol bag, and kind of history ever since then.
Okay. What about you, Harry?
Well, I actually used to sell real estate, and I found it impossible to carry a gun. It was, as a younger, slimmer guy in a professional world, and I've worked in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, which Michael probably knows more than most people in the chat. But if you're familiar with North Carolina, you know that area is not very gun friendly. So the office I worked in had a wide range of people and their beliefs in firearms. So it was pretty much a non-permissive environment as far as the folks around the office. And I tried pocket carry. I tried like that Thunderwear. There was another brand like where you wear it. None of that stuff worked. I pretty much came to the conclusion that if anything happened, it would take me about 3 to 4 seconds to get to my gun. So I started experimenting around making holsters for myself because I couldn't find anything on the market. And eventually that involved in me starting this company.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then also for both of y'all, how did you get the financing or the funds? Did you take out a loan? Did you, have partnerships or anything like that in order to get your business kicked off?
I guess I'll go first. No, actually, I was fortunate in that I knew how to. I had a previous business, still have it, but makes websites. That was kind of my expertise. That's what I grew up doing since I was 13. So I kind of had a leg up because I knew where to go as far as e-commerce. But as far as product and investment and money, it was self-funded, and it was only about $2,000.
Okay.
When I started, I actually also started this with $2,000. It took me $2,000 to get it up and off the ground. I initially thought I could start it with like $800, and that did not go to plan. I was way undercapitalized with the $800. I had to put about another $1,200 into it. But it all came out of pocket. And the income from that I was able to build up there slowly. It took a very long time to build up to the stage where I kind of am now, or into the process. I've gone through multiple processes of manufacturing to get where I'm going. And it's all a capital build-up situation. So.
Okay. And I myself have never owned my own business, but I have been partners in business where I was the silent partner or the angel partner, however you want to say that, and had people run them, and I put money into it and did stuff like that. So kind of had a business, or had a couple of businesses, but not where I was personally on hand and, you know, hey, do this and hey, do that. I was just looking at the budgets, and I was looking at the, you know, profit sheets and things like that. To kind of see where we are. So that's what and that's one reason I really like to support small businesses. You know, the big businesses, they've made it. Some of them are successful, some of them aren't, but that's why I really enjoy, you know, pitching and, you know, sharing ideas and things like that. And that's one thing that I'll tell everyone in the chat. These two guys are awesome. They make great products. And if I have any input, they listen. Not that they, you know, say, oh, we're going to change it because Big Johnson, because I'm just like everyone else. We all put our pants on the same way. But if we can share ideas and kick around things, they're very open to that. And that's another thing that I appreciate about them. Some people are just like, it's my way. That's the only way, you know, because they have an idea. And that's what's really good about this. So, you know, it's just really a great group of guys that I choose to work with. So, you know, if you're considering some of their gear, they make great gear. What we're going to do, Lynx Defense makes bags, like I'll kind of show. And while we've got this, I'll go ahead and show it. Makes custom pistol bags, standard pistol bags, tactical type, non-tactical type. And if you need like custom bags for like big companies or something, he can do custom orders. And of course, Harry, y'all know that he makes some badass holsters. I love his holsters. You know, my signature thing's kind of orange, so sometimes they'll do orange, sometimes they can't. But you know, if you do need custom pistol bags, Lynx can get you fixed up, and you know, Harry makes a hell of a holster. So, and as far as any questions about like, you know, the price gouging and all that, we'll get to that towards the end. I'm not ignoring your questions. We are going to try to answer as many as we can, but save those questions. Don't leave, because we'll try to answer them. But so don't run off. This is a question I have for both of y'all. This might catch you a little off guard, but what is your favorite holster, or what is your favorite product that you make, Lynx? And what is your favorite product, if you could only pick one, that you make, Harry? And I know you make holsters, but
yeah, I'll go first with this. I've got a couple new products coming out, and those would probably be reserved for this spot. But in a strange way, I think one of my favorite products, I just started carrying a J-frame as a backup. I carried a J-frame a little bit over the summer on our Icon. And the Icon is honestly probably my favorite product, just because it fills a niche that nobody else is filling out there. And like, the Executive is a great holster, has a lot of great options, but there are a bunch of peers per se, as far as price point, what it does, all that, you know, everything that goes into it. It definitely has some unique features, but it doesn't stand out as much as the Icon does when you really look at things. And I was wearing that holster, and it was a good product, but it kind of blew me away wearing it this last couple of days when I started carrying it back up.
Okay. What about you, Michael?
Not just because it's the newest, but it's going to have to be probably the Bureau.
Okay.
We put spent a lot of time on the Bronx getting it ready. The Bureau wasn't much of a transition, but I liked it because we actually used a lot of feedback from you, other customers who had the Bronx, other people who just looked and saw what they wanted to actually see in the Bureau, and kind of morphed it. You know, we added the shoulder pad. That was, you know, you mentioned that. Several other people mentioned that. So I was like, it's going to have a shoulder pad. There's just no way around it. Not that I was trying to get around it, but, you know, I wanted to execute the shoulder pad correctly. And we added the non-slip shoulder pad, and it's, I think, it's a small featured bag, but I always like when other people have input on our products and it actually comes to market. It's probably going to be titled my coronavirus product because we launched it yesterday in the heat of all the coronavirus stuff. So
that's exactly what
the first 20 bags get a free case of Corona with them.
Yeah.
No, but they do get this sweet holographic sticker.
Yeah, the sticker is pretty cool. Yep. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and you're buffering a little bit, Michael. I don't know if it's internet connection or not, but you're buffering just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't best internet.
Yeah, and if y'all haven't seen the Bureau, I've got a video on it. I received mine about a week earlier before, and the official release was yesterday. And I got a video out on it, and I've loaded up. I've been carrying it around. So far, I'm really liking it. But if y'all follow me, I don't just want to open a box and go, this is awesome. I mean, it is awesome so far, but I really like to test it, carry it, get some time behind it so I can give true feedback. But so far, I haven't found any negatives on it. Everything's working as it should. I do appreciate the shoulder strap because when you've got it weighted down like I do, if you watch the video, it actually helps with the pressure point from digging into your shoulder, where I kind of had that before. But it's definitely good. And also, just so y'all know, Lynx and Harry's are leaving comments over here. They have YouTube channels. Both of them do. So click that link, go to their channel, subscribe to them. Because Lynx is going to be putting out more content. So is Harry. I know they've got some stuff in the works. And also go on their email on Instagram and stuff like that and subscribe to them and sign up for their email because they've got special discounts. They've got all kinds of little things that could come out and y'all will be the first to know about it. So definitely do that. But let's see here. Let's just take a couple of questions because I know Kathleen had a question and y'all are probably familiar with this. And I don't want to forget Kathleen because I love her to death, but on the P01 compared to the Shield, what do you think the size difference is?
Probably 30% or so.
It's definitely wider, just a little chunkier. The P01 is, it is chunkier, it's thicker. As far as in the hand, even for me, the P01 is much better. Even if you have a smaller hand, I think the P01 is definitely doable. Gives you a little bit more weight, holds a higher capacity, standard capacity, and I think it's a great gun for a lot of people. That's just my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the P01's fine. Michael probably doesn't have much. Have you shot mine or not? I don't think you have.
I don't think so.
I think you shot my 75 compact, but P01's fine. I mean, that and the Shield, they're apples to oranges. I mean, just completely different guns.
Yeah, one's double action, single action, one striker fire. So it's kind of whichever one you fancy and whichever one probably you shoot better. But I think they're both great guns. It's just what you prefer. But let's see here. All right. Also, this is a question that I'm going to ask y'all. What is your go-to firearm? You have to pick one. What's your go-to firearm? And you can only pick one pistol, and you can even pick a rifle if you would like.
That makes it a little easier.
Do what?
I said that makes it a little easier. I'm always going to go for a Glock 19 when it comes to pistols. I'll be the first one to tell you. I'm a Glock fanboy. Okay. And then as far as rifles go, I have a it'd be a toss up, but I'd probably have a suppressed short barrel rifle that I'd probably go to. It's an Noveske, but I put it all together myself, but that's probably where I'd go.
Okay. What about you, Harrison?
Glock 19 Gen 5 with an RMR. And right now I've got a 10.5 inch air precision sitting behind me. But that's the reason I've got that is because that's what I can afford right now. So that'll probably get upgraded to something a little nicer here in the future. Yeah. As far as rifles go.
It's funny you say that. I've got a 10.5 Aero Precision right there, and it is in the new Bureau. So that's what I'm carrying, and it's sitting right there. And I would hold it up, but the damn thing, you're not going to be able to see it in this camera. That's why I'm using the pistol bag. But that would be my go-to rifle. And then my pistol would be the CZ P10C with the comp, with the RMR. but there's nothing against the Glock 19. I really actually like my Glock 19 Gen 5, the 19X. I can't do a regular 19. My hands don't fit, but nothing wrong with any of those. Yeah, Uncle Dan, these guys know what they're talking about, so that's the great thing. Now we're going to get to a question. I know a lot of people have been talking about the virus, the beer virus, but how has it affected y'all's business in particular?
You want to go first, Michael?
I guess, yeah, I'll start just because I know you. I don't know if it's quite taking the. I'm not saying it's taking a toll, but I think it's just reduced consumer confidence and consumer spending. As far as I go, I know I'm a little more conservative. We do have we were full steam ahead. We were scheduled to release 3 brand new products within the first 2 quarters of the year. Still probably will. I think I hope the virus kind of settles down, everybody calms down, everything gets back to normal relatively quickly for everybody's sake, not just ours, for everybody's sake. But I do hope that, we can continue to release our products. But like I was telling you prior to the raw materials that we were try to purchase, it was one of those things that we were just kind of like, all right, well, let's pump the brakes. We might have to push this back a month, but we have a larger pistol bag coming. We kind of already teased it a little bit, on our website, but I hope to still get that out, next month, and we'll go from there. It's still kind of in the T&E R&D stage, so I'm hoping that that's one of those things that this doesn't affect that too much.
Yeah. What about you, Harry?
I really haven't seen. I saw a little bit of a dip in sales, this is post tax return season. So a lot of people usually go out and buy guns, and then they need a holster for it. So March is usually my best month of the year, and it's looking like I got a lot of new product releases and other things that are going to throw all that out of whack. But I had a couple of slow days when the media really started pounding this, and then all of a sudden the sales surged. So my item went from everybody was more worried about buying gas and, paying rent and things like that, to all of a sudden my item came up there with food and toilet paper. So I'm not sure how long that's going to last. I think I'm going to see a dip once things calm down a little bit, but it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes to return. I think everything, we've seen this huge buy off of all the ammo and stuff, but as far as firearms, it's a different crowd buying in right now. It's not. I just got off the phone a couple hours before this with the manager of my local gun store, and he was saying 90% of the people in there buying are family people that have never owned a gun before.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing. I am seeing, and even in my business that I do, I've seen a lull because of this. People are kind of hanging on and seeing how far or where this is going. They're just being, I wouldn't say they're not buying at all. They're just being a little standoffish, because we don't know where we're going with this quite yet. And hopefully that's going to kick back in. I personally am not traveling right now. I've just chosen not to. And, because I just want to see where it goes. And also, if something were to pop off and people started looting or something, I want to be here to protect my family and that kind of stuff, which any, red-blooded American should want to do. Because we just don't know right now. Hopefully everybody keeps their crap together and acts like normal human beings, but you never know. There's bad apples in every bunch. So, but there's that. And kind of another question I had, and then we'll get to some more questions out here. But where do you see your business, or where do you hope your business is in 5 years, or excuse me, in 3 years?
Which Michael?
Yeah, Michael.
Say Harrison, he's asking questions that you always ask. We only released a handful of products in the last couple of years, and I gotta give Harrison a little credit. He's pushed me to start R&Ding more, doubling down, and really getting to a product release schedule that we stick to. You know, we released the backpack, our EDC backpack. We released the ankle kit. We released the gouging, which is a ankle or headrest mounted trauma medical kit that you can pull off the headrest. And those were kind of, you know, they were great products. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we sell tons of them. But you know, I really kind of wanted to gravitate back towards the bags, back towards gun bags, back towards firearms related products. Harrison kind of pushed me that way, and I'd like to just, I guess, see a more constant, you know, 3, 4, 5 product releases per year, and kind of improving more so the product line. Financially, it's not all about money to me. I love guns. I love being in the gun industry. To me, it's all about continuing that, getting more people in the industry, making products that people like, and just keeping it afloat.
Okay. What do you think, Harry?
Okay, so 3 years, it's really kind of hard to put that out, but I think by that time, the manufacturing capability I'll have will be greatly increased. The question is how much so. Right now, I'm working on a lot of manufacturing efficiencies. The next line of holsters is going to be made with the same method, but it's been made a lot more efficient. I'm looking at a completely new method of still doing Kydex Bolteron thermoformed holsters, but a completely different method of manufacturing them 3 years down the line. Hopefully that'll be implemented sometime around 18 months to 24 months. With that, have the ability to go much higher volume and hopefully get into dealers and distribution. There's some major walls to doing that, mostly having to do with profit margin. Ultimately, like, you know, this is not all about money, but at the same time, it is about money. You have to have, like Michael and I have had some discussions about this in the past, you have to have enough money coming in to support your overhead and take into account what is unexpected expenses. Mm-hmm. Like, you sit there and you look at this product, you look at your margin, you go, oh my gosh, I'm making all this money. And then you start looking at all the other stuff, all the overhead expenses that come in, and you're like, oh my gosh, a lot of that gets eaten up quick. So that's one thing you really have to take into account.
Yeah, and one of the things that I look at, even in my own business, you know, I kind of see where we are, where we need to be. You know, I do basically kind of predictions. I mean, that's kind of what you're doing. And sometimes you might be looking into a crystal ball, but, you know, you're looking at, you know, with where my business goes, how it spikes up and down and things like that. And then if I'm going to invest, you know, I look at where they are, where they need to be, and again, where their production is, you know, things like that. So as an investor, that's what you want to look at too. You know, and I think when you say 5 years with a lot of companies, that's really far out there. But I think when you're talking 2 to 3 years and checking their growth from year to year, I think that's pretty doable for most smaller businesses. Some aren't, some just go year by year, but you know, it's always good to have even something to strive for. And I know with your holsters, and again, you know, if y'all are interested in Harry's holsters, Lynx Defense, you can use the same discount code. It's Big Johnson, capital B, capital J, all smashed together. Harry's, it'll give you 10% off. Lynx, it'll give you 5%. But I'm always, you know, one thing that really impresses me with Harry is, you know, when I have a holster and I'm wearing it and I'm seeing something, you know, I'll be like, this little thing, you know, kind of bugs me or whatever. And I might let him know, and, you know, he'll adjust it, or, you know, tell me what I need to do, or try something, and I'll try it and it works. You know, so he's always, and I used the word, and I shouldn't have used this word one time in a video, I used tweaking. Okay. He's not a tweaker. He's not a meth head, but he is always trying to make it better. And so I've gone through, 3 revisions of your holsters so far?
Yeah, 3's about right. And there's going to be, I pretty much redo my entire lineup about once a year is what it's come down to.
Yeah. You know, and so he's always, you know, finding a little thing or something to make it better, or, you know, and that's one thing I appreciate about him. He's not just coming out with one thing and that rides the wind for 10 years. And some of the stuff you see, it could have already been out, but somebody takes that same holster and stamps a name on it, and all of a sudden it's the latest, greatest thing. You know, he's always trying to adapt it and make it better. That's one thing I appreciate. And with Lynx Defense, I've used pistol bags, rifle bags, you know, gosh, since I was 16 years old, and I'm old. So I've used it, been there, tried it, different things. And there's some things about rifle bags I like, some I don't, you know, zippers, pulls, things like that. And with Lynx Defense, same thing. You know, he's always trying to make it better, come out with new, more adaptable bags. And that's one of the things that we were talking about with the new SBR bag, which is the Bureau. So it'll fit small ARs, pistols, it'll fit SBRs, you know, things like that. And I think you could probably get up to a 12.5 inch in there with a comp on it. That's what I measured it at. And, you know, even room for other items. And, you know, we pushed Lynx to make an SBR bag. We needed it, we wanted it. And it's easier to carry that into a hotel or somewhere, you know, in a higher volume area where you're around a lot of people and it's more discreet. And he pretty much nailed it on this new bag. So, you know, I'm really impressed with it so far. Again, I've only been carrying it for a week and a couple of days, but I have been wagging it around and it's got some weight in it because I'm testing the straps, I'm testing the pulls, and I keep looking at the, you know, the sew, the where it's sewn, double stitched. Nothing's messing up on it. And I can, you know, and I've done that with the other bags that I have from him. So far, no issues. And this pistol bag, how long have I had this, Michael? This.
Harris, when I released custom pistol bags? 2018
last year.
Yeah, I think I've had it for a year. And the only thing, I mean, it's dirty on the bottom, but there's no rips, there's no tears, there's nothing. I use this thing all the time.
I think it was actually second quarter 2019.
It was like February 2019.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, yeah. I probably carry more weight in it than I really should. But no sew damage. I mean, stitching is great. I mean, when I rip the rip cord on the top, I mean, I just grab it and rip it. You know, I'm just yanking these dual zippers, and I haven't had any issues with it. And the great thing about both of these gentlemen is everything on their holsters and on their bag, you know, it's all USA. So it's all made in the United States. And
well, not all of it. I'll be honest here, and I'll come in and a lot of, and that's one thing you talk about, like the coronavirus and affecting things. I am a little bit worried about hardware supply because a lot of the hardware I use is outsourced. But what most people don't tell you with holster hardware, there's not a lot of options. And the hardware I use, like the screws I use, and right now the posts for some components are made in Canada, actually.
Yeah.
Because that's where the best source of it is. So that I'm a little bit worried about supply, but most of the stuff that's even, quote, made in the USA is actually only finished here, or there's, you know, very minute finishing processes done here in the US. Most of it's actually manufactured in Taiwan.
Yeah.
So even the US, quote, made in the USA stuff can get delayed, but all the thermoplastics themselves are made here. My product itself is manufactured here.
Right.
Yeah, but I'll address that too real quick. We have kind of two variations of bags, and we didn't beforehand. Before we were all what's called Berry Amendment compliant, and what the Berry Amendment in layman's terms is essentially Congress passed a bill that says any bag, any sewn good product, anything that is sold to the U.S. military has to be Berry Amendment compliant, which boils down to every piece of that component has to be made and manufactured in the U.S., not just the sewing, not just, I mean, the fabric had to come from a U.S. mill, had to be dyed in the U.S., every piece of plastic, every piece of everything on it had to come from the U.S. Our pistol bag and our rifle and our tactical line of rifle cases all are Berry Amendment compliant, the base bags. Now, as far as the bureaus go, we do use imported fabric, but everything's still sewn 100% manufactured in the U.S.
And I'll just bring this up. This is where it gets very interesting, is a lot of people don't understand the laws as it relates to made in the USA. And this is sad, but it's the reality. I know of factories local to me. They literally import stuff from Mexico, rebox it, and slap a made in the USA legal. And due to the fact that there is no really strict definition on made in the USA outside of the textile industry, it's legal to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry, that was my fault. And I want to apologize to everybody. I did forget about the screws, and I remember him saying that about the bureaus. So that was my bad. I apologize. But yeah, Razor saying Berry compliant also. Yeah, and I appreciate everyone being on the chat. But yes, there's many other bags out there. There's many other holsters, but especially at the bags, you can go to Academy and you can buy some cheap bag that's made in China and things like that. And I've had questions saying, I can get a bag so much cheaper and all this other stuff. And I know, hell, you can buy a car cheaper at some place versus the other place. But a lot of it is customer service. It's the people behind the products. It's items like that I appreciate. If I need to send an email to a company, I want them responding to me. I don't want to be lost somewhere out there, or have to wait till 24 hours later when it's in a third world country answering that email and they're replying to me at 4 o'clock in the morning. That makes me feel a little better. And like I said, I don't mind spending money, at places like that when I can get that kind of service, whether it be a restaurant, a product, whatever it is. I appreciate that kind of service. And that's, the thing that I appreciate y'all. Every time I've had a question about a product or had an idea or anything like that, y'all have always, jumped on answering it and stuff like that. So that's one of the things.
Yeah, I saw Razor said everything about quality control. We include a version of this in literally everything that we ship, and I check every single thing that goes out before it goes out.
Yeah.
There's nothing that leaves Lynx Defense that I don't personally touch or check before it goes out. That's why when there is a problem, I'll own it. It's my fault because I should have called it.
Yeah. And that's another thing, as far as the manufacturing, Michael's right there. I mean, he's got his, ladies and gentlemen working with him, and they're sewing everything up, and he's right there, hands on, making sure everything's okay. And like you said, he QCs everything. We know that Harry does also. So there's just nothing going out. I mean, that's one thing. I've gotten tons of holsters. If y'all have been following me for a while, and I've had, some edges I've had to clean up with, sandpaper and stuff like that. And that's going to happen. I'm not saying everybody's perfect, but that is one thing as far as, total quality. I've never even had to do anything to these holsters as far as, a little rough edge or whatever, as far as you polishing them and things like that. So, it's those extra little details that even makes it worth spending the money on, to me. And trust me, I was a customer before I was even part of, this other deal with you guys. And I'm not a shareholder, but hell, I should be. And that's the thing. When you've got a product that you really believe in, rather than trying 15 different products, if you know something's working and you believe in it, why not support it? So that's kind of what I do. But we'll go ahead and take some questions. If you've got some questions, throw them up right now. We'll get in some questions. Like I said, we haven't been ignoring y'all. I appreciate all your patience. I just wanted y'all to see the men behind the machine. Small business is what makes it work. You're getting the one-on-one relationship. You're being able to see a face with a name. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. I just wanted to, let's see here. All right, here we go. This is funny. East Texas Outlaws, and probably because I named it Texas Outlaw Chat. I've had that name for a long time. I just don't do a bunch of solo chats. But so what outlaw stuff have y'all done?
This is just easier not to say anything. It's just easier not to say anything.
Yeah, I'm not self-incriminate on this one.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm gonna exercise.
You say anything, Harry?
To not self-incriminate.
Yeah, I'm not here to make a music video, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. Well, put it this way: I'm old and I'm wise, so we'll just leave it at that. But yes, I've been around the block, got a hat and a T-shirt. How about that?
We were just invited on the chat. I'll just say that we were invited. We had nothing to do with the name.
Yeah. This is actually a good question right here. Where did it go? It just flew by. Let's see here. Golly, where did it go? Okay, here we go. All right. Harry's holsters. Are the new holsters going to ride higher or about the same as the executive?
They're going to be pretty much the same.
Okay. And if y'all don't know, you can actually adjust your ride height. On these, you can actually adjust them up and down. So you can have a high ride height or you can have a low ride height. That's why he puts all these adjustments in here. And I've worn them high personally, checked them low. I don't just leave it in the one position. I find what works for me and my draw stroke, where I can get the big old mitts on it. So that's another thing I appreciate. You're not stuck to what they set it at. you have adaptability to change it to what works for you, because not everybody has the same hand size. Trust me, I know that. Let's see here. Yeah, this is pretty funny. You could hear a pin drop. Yeah, that's true. I mean, we don't want to, let's see here.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say I address that one. I was like, I'm definitely making this big pistol bag in orange just for you, so you'll buy it.
Hey man, guys, can you sell anything to Big Johnson Gear if it's orange? I love orange. It's my favorite color. That's been one of my colors since I was a little kid, and I was an orange fan before I guess orange was orange. But I just like it. I don't like plain Jane stuff. I think these guys know that about me. And if you can't tell by the grips that I run and stuff on a lot of my pistols, I'm a trendsetter, not a follower. That's the way I've always looked at it. And if you don't like, if people don't like it and they want to be the non-loud person, that's cool too. The great thing is we know this is America, so everybody has a choice. But yes, if I can get it in orange or some sort of orange trim, I'm all over that.
So I want to kind of address something Kathleen asked about earlier, and that was the brand new Ruger PC Charger.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yep. What's your opinion on it, Harry?
I think it's an awesome move for Ruger. The thing I hate about it is the price is fair. The street price is probably going to be in the mid 500s, maybe like 579, so high 500s. I'm going to end up with one probably, but I really wish Ruger would come out with something in that format that with a brace was out the door for under $500. They could be an affordable home defense option, quote unquote, non-gun people. So I just hate that didn't come in quite there, but I get why it's priced where it is. And I'm very rarely the guy who does that, but I think that gun has a lot of potential to be just a really fun gun to shoot.
Yeah. What do you think, Michael?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited about that gun. Harrison's actually sent it to me. I didn't know anything about it, and it was funny because I asked him, I was like, "How long has this gun been out?" He's like, "I don't know, a couple hours."
Yeah.
I'm super excited about Ruger. Anything in the short category and the PCCs, anything. Harrison, I'm still not going to say he was right, but he wasn't wrong when he said I would like PCCs, and he wasn't wrong.
So Michael's when it comes to firearms, he is you're pretty odd. You're like either super practical or not practical at all.
That's fair.
With your choices. And you thought PCCs had zero or anything in a pistol caliber carbine or like a little subgun clone, whatever you want to call it. You thought they had zero use. And then you bought that Scorpion just to shoot photos with, and you went out and shot it and you fell in love immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, but I'm not going to tell him he's right. He just wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
So
no, that's fair. You can be Switzerland. You could be neutral on that. I definitely think PCCs have a place. Uncle Dan's on the chat, and hell, he shoots hogs with his. So they definitely have a place. And, there's less recoil on those. Now, on the pistol version, it could be a little more than, a bigger one, obviously. But they're super accurate. I mean, you can really put your shots where you need them. And, the good thing about the Ruger is it does take the Glock mag with the adapter. So, you can run what you got in that thing. They're just fun as hell. But I'll tell you what, you better have a lot of ammo because you will blow through ammo with those things.
The best investment I made with the Scorpion was the 30 or 35 round Magpul mags.
Yep.
I can't remember if they're 30 or 35, but either way, that was probably, I bought 5 or 6 of those suckers, and that was the best thing I could have done.
Yeah. Now, this is a really good question. I get asked this a lot on the holsters, and I know Harry's fixing to address it again, but we'll go ahead and you can answer it one more time, Harry. Harry,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, geez,
yeah, I saw it. What it comes down to, I used to make left-handed holsters. And to do that, like a lot of holster manufacturers, what they do is they get blue guns or they get poured resin molds, or they get universal either split HDPE molds or aluminum molds. And then they tape on the blocking, they cut everything by hand, they hand drill it. Whereas everything I do is pre-designed in CAD, and then there are trim paths. So you form everything with specific tooling. All the blocking for that holster is already built in. the trim path to how it's trimmed. You can't change the number of holes without going through a large amount of process, etc. So when I sold left-handed holsters, I sold one left-handed holster for every 196 right-handed holsters. That's a huge disparity. Supposedly 8% of the population is left-handed, and that puts, whereas I sold to 0.5% of the population as far as left-handed holsters go. So huge disparity there. But then now I talk to my suppliers who make left-handed, attachments for holsters. Their sales tend to be around 2%. And when I ask them what their customers are, meaning people like me, what they buy, they've got 2 or 3 customers that buy like 12% left-handed attachments. And then the rest are usually below 2%.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to make the numbers work on specific holsters. And the reason you see companies like even Safariland only has certain models in left-handed, and the models they have in left-handed are models that are more than likely being sold to law enforcement entities, and they're paying a higher base price for that holster overall, allowing them to recoup the tooling cost, actually. So they're subsidizing the left-handed tooling.
Gotcha. Yeah, Uncle Dan, we're talking about the new Ruger pistol, or basically it's a pistol variant PCC they just released a couple of days ago. So that's what we're talking about. He thought it was a 22. Yeah, and like Pistol Pete says, 92% of the population is wrong-handed.
I hate it, but if I was left-handed, I'd literally make a Glock 19 holster, and everything else would still be right-handed holsters.
Yeah.
But the numbers, it's what's affordable.
Ranger's saying thank you for explaining it. This is actually a really good, and I've been asked this too, but I want to know y'all's opinion. Thoughts on shoulder holsters?
Michael?
I don't really have an opinion on it. I wouldn't. Doesn't make sense to me. As far as practicality, a business question you're gonna have to ask Harrison. I don't have any. He's the holster expert. He'll be the first one, and I'll be the first one to tell you I'm the rifle guy. He's the pistol guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so on shoulder holsters, there are unique circumstances that it could be good for. I know a lot of guys that pretty much spend most of their time riding in a vehicle, sometimes like to carry with them. I think there's a lot of disadvantages when it comes to actually employing the gun, concealment. And concealment's a very personal thing. Like if you look at the cuts of the clothing in like 70s cop shows where everybody had a shoulder holster, it's way different than what people wear today. So I mean, like a Secret Service agent standing by the president, you look at the cut of their suits, it's way different than what you will see if you go to a church, you go to a business, you go to anywhere where anybody's going to be wearing a suit. So I don't think shoulder holster has a lot of place in modern society for most people, but there's definitely a niche for it for some people. And if you're going to a Halloween party and you're going to Sonny Crockett or like Dirty Harry, I think a shoulder holster is mandatory.
Yeah. Well, let the old guy speak. I grew up with the era with the shoulder holsters. I actually had one. I carried a 1911 in it. I carried it on my left shoulder, so I'd have the right hand draw. It wasn't your average one. It was leather, but it was tooled and it was really, really nice. It wasn't a cheap holster at all. And you kind of put it around the back of your neck and it came down. You really couldn't see it the way that it was designed, but it was neat and it worked. But the thing about it is, now we're talking about a 1911, not a Smith & Wesson Shield, not a little light pistol. This was a big boy. And, you would catch yourself when you're driving or something, it would make you lean. It would, it was just kind of awkward. And, I still had it tightened down correctly, but when you walked, it would flare out because of the weight of the pistol. So you get the bouncing and things like that. To draw from it, and it depended if it was cold or if it was hot. It would actually draw different because it was tooled leather. And it was formed and all that stuff. However, you would get a good draw sometimes and you get a sticky draw sometimes. So it probably had its place for the older era. And depending on how you dress, like we've talked about, dress around your holster. There's times you can wear a certain holster, there's times you can't. But I think if you're out on the farm and you're just walking around and you want to put your 44 Magnum in one or something like that, hey, go for it. But unless you're wearing a big jacket, I really don't. It's not in my wheelhouse anymore. Matter of fact, I actually ended up giving it to a friend of mine. He was an older guy. He's still alive, but he still has it, and I think he wears it once in a blue moon. But it was a guy that helped me out a lot when I was younger, and so I actually gave it to him because he loved it so much. But and I think Ranger has a very valid point. And I'll get to Texas Outlaws here. Chest holster has more practicality than a shoulder holster.
Yeah.
And I would definitely agree with that.
I'm probably going to, I actually got one for a gun I don't own yet just because I want to kind of test it out. And it has a lot of good applications for backpacking and stuff.
Yeah.
He might be talking in a tactical sense, which I know nothing about, but right. For backpacking, some bear country, I think that's probably the only way to go.
Yeah. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I definitely would say chest holster is the way to go over shoulder holster. There's absolutely no question.
Yeah. I think if you're wearing like a plate carrier or something like that, and, especially if you're like a military type person or, crap hit the fan, if you had a holster on your side and you had a holster up here, more access to whatever you need, the better you are. And, some guys don't like a holster there if they're going to be rolling around or, sitting on their side or doing any of that kind of stuff. So you don't have to tilt or move to grab it. It's just right there. So I think especially in Razor's situation, it was probably really easy to get to for the most part. So that's why he had it or has it. But, and this is another question, I get asked this a lot. Do y'all think a pistol is meant to get you to a rifle? As a country boy, we tend to go to the rifle.
Yes and no. And I say that because if you're within 20 yards, 25 yards, I'd say even less than 50, you're still in the fight with a pistol. There's no need to fight to a rifle if you're within those distances. If you get much further than that, I'm going to say, yeah, the pistol needs to get you to your rifle. Yeah. Especially if your rifle is a 223-556. If your rifle's a PCC, I don't know if it matters much. It might, just because you have a little bit more control.
If you're using your pistol to fight to your rifle, probably the time you take to grab that rifle is going to be enough time for your opponent to put you down. It's going to give them enough advantage in that amount of time. So I think you have to finish what you're doing with the pistol. If I'm running around on a tractor and I've got a rifle next to me and a pistol on my belt, I'm just going to grab the rifle to begin with.
Yeah. And I would agree with all of that. Not everybody can carry a rifle with them, like walking through a grocery store. You could, but if you want to be that guy. But yeah, if you're out on a farm or you're on a, side by side or something like that, I'm having a pistol on me, but I'm going to have a rifle with me. And, just coyotes and stuff like that, I'm taking them out with a rifle. If it's up close and personal, I don't, if you're, like I said, within 20 yards or so, I don't know if you have to have a rifle. If you have one, great, or if you've got multiple, attackers or something like that. Yeah, I would love to have a rifle, but a lot of people can't just have that. So I think you got to train and fight with what you have. But if you have a choice, I'd much rather have a rifle because you have more points of contact. You have things like that. And most people can be more accurate with a rifle. Unless they have a ton of experience behind pistols. So,
hey Johnson, if you are carrying your rifle to the grocery store, please put it in a Bronx or Bureau.
There, yeah.
Shameless plug, but please do that.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a couple buddies. They spend a lot of time in tractors, combines, etc. And one of them, he never carries a pistol. He'll probably never own a pistol, but he's always got a 30-06 or something. Yeah. And there, my other buddy, he always has a Glock 41 or a Glock 36 on him. And then he usually, in the combine or the tractor, he'll usually keep his Ruger. I think it's a Ruger 77, Mark 77, and 25-06. Yeah. And he's got good glass on it.
Yeah, and see, I grew up in the olden days where when I drove my truck to high school, I had the rifle rack in my back window, and I had a 30-30 back there, and that helped. I wasn't the only one. That's the way we drove to school. So you don't see that nowadays. People freak out. But, yeah, we had rifles in our truck because we couldn't carry pistols. We could carry rifles. So, that's what people had. and they worked. So, I just think whatever you have access to, by all means, know how to use it, be proficient with it, and train and shoot and practice with it. And that is the thing about all the new gun owners that are lapping up all these guns and stuff. If they don't have experience with them, get some dry fire practice, get used to your pistol or your new rifle or whatever you've purchased. Take some lessons if you're not familiar with it, or go to the range with a friend that is, at least able to show you some things and work with them on it, because, we want everybody on the 2A side that we can get. The more people on our side, the better off it's going to be. So, and yes, have a rifle with an orange sling. So definitely have that. As a matter of fact, right next to me, I've got my 590A1 that's all dressed out in orange. It's 100% orange.
Okay, so do we want to move this? We've only got 10 minutes or so left. So do we want to move this back to the price gouging?
Yes.
And you guys start, because I know I'll be the one with the unpopular opinion.
Okay. Michael, what do you think about this price gouging situation that's happening right now with ammo and guns and all this other stuff in kind of a panic situation?
So the biggest one is obviously, it's going to be cheaper than dirt. It's always going to be cheaper than dirt. They're like the villain of the firearms industry. It is what it is. A lot of people are thinking it should be illegal, but the fact of the matter is, if they're going to do price gouging laws, you might as well focus on food or whatever. I'm not saying I agree with them. I kind of tend to fall in the libertarian spectrum of the world, but I think they're only shooting themselves in the foot. I'll let Harrison have his comments about cheaper than dirt. We already talked about this earlier, so I won't take that away from him. But I think in the end, they're only hurting themselves. I'll never buy anything from cheaper than dirt. Just flat out, I don't care how good the deal is. I'm good. I have a principle, and I'll stand on it. And I'm not getting any of my money.
Okay. What do you think about it, Harry?
So to look at this, I think you have to look at this from the whole view. And cheaper than dirt, their market is not repeat customers. Just going to be straight from a business perspective. What they're doing is actually pretty smart. They go through, they don't give their customers a great experience. I'm not saying that's smart, but their market is first time buyers. All their stuff, they do a lot of heavy SEO stuff that brings people to their site. A lot of the first gun stuff people buy is going to be a cheaper than dirt. So then those customers usually learn more and decide to go elsewhere, smartly so. So cheaper than dirt isn't really pissing off a customer base, but it's their right in a capitalist society to make money off that stuff. And everybody that's saying price gouging, this is the reality. Like Michael and I, we're working on a bunch of video shoots and stuff right now, and that's going to be very ammo intensive to use. But there's a business expense behind it. And let's say we had something we needed that ammo tomorrow. SGA, all these, Brownells, all these other places I normally do business with are out of stock. I like knowing there is that one guy that's quote unquote price gouging, like cheaper than dirt, where I could go and get ammo if I needed to, if I'm willing to pay the price, versus everywhere being out of stock. And if they did go down, it'd all be gone anyway. So I really don't understand what everybody's complaining about. I don't get it.
Well, I was, of course, I was carrying a gun back at Sandy Hook, when all that stuff went down and all that crazy mess. And, that's when they showed their face there. I have not bought anything from cheaper than dirt. Well, I bought before then. I bought a couple of mags from them, nothing big. But after that, I said I'm not buying anything, and I haven't. To this day, I haven't bought one thing from them since. They're known for showing, this ugly face. And the second they put this ammo crap out and their prices, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I blasted them on Instagram. I have no problem doing that. And they can, do whatever they want to do. I look at it this way. And yes, you're exactly right. There's a lot of new gun purchasers who are buying ammo, guns, things like that. And some of them think that's the normal price, so they're buying it. And some of them are doing a panic situation, so they're buying it because they think it's never going to be around again. But like I've always said, and I've said this numerous times, if you wait till the last minute to have ammo, to have guns, to have magazines, shame on you, period. Now, as a new gun owner that's running out and grabbing guns and, wait until the last minute and stuff like that, that's what you're going to deal with, period. But if you've got a good stock, you don't have to deal with that mess. And matter of fact, what's really crazy, and I don't know, I didn't put anybody up on Instagram, but I've gotten DMs, I've gotten text, I've gotten calls from people that I physically know. Some I would say friends, and some are acquaintances. And I've already gotten hit up for ammo. And some of these people were the same morons that gave me grief about having all the ammo that I have. They were giving me grief. Now they're asking me if they can have some of it. So I'm like, hey, dude, sorry, man. And they're like, well, I know whose house to come to. And I'm like, you're not coming to my house, dude. I'm sorry, but I can't fend for everybody. But what do I think it's right what they're doing? No, I understand why they're doing it, but I don't think it's right. And I don't have to agree with it, and I don't have to buy from them. I can choose to try to purchase it somewhere else, or, I guess buy it from friends or whatever, if I were in that situation. But I don't agree with it. So that's just me. But now we've only got, I don't know, 10 minutes. And if we go 5 minutes over, we go 5 minutes over. But I did want to ask, does anyone have any questions about what we're talking about their products, about the new bags, about the new holsters coming out? If Harry wants to give input on some stuff he's got coming out, he can. The same with Michael. Again, if you want to purchase any of these items, you can use my discount code, Big Johnson, capital B, capital J, save you 10% on Harry's holsters, 5% on Lynx Defense. Feel free to use it. But do you have anything, Harry, that you have coming up that you want to talk about?
I've got 2 new IWB holsters coming up soon, and I've got a competition holster also coming out. That's pretty much it. But right now I'm at the mercy of my the guy that's machining my tooling and his timeline, and he's got some stuff, backlog, supply chain stuff working on him. So I hope it's out in weeks, but it could still be a month or 2. We'll see.
What about you, Michael?
Yeah, the only thing, of course, we've released 2 bags this year. Well, the first one was in December, but we released the Bureau. We have the Concord, which is the large pistol bag. It's coming. It was slated for the mid to end of next month, but we'll see how that goes depending on this whole coronavirus thing. We're currently just trying to restock inventory of existing product lines. So that's our big one right now. After that, we'll see. There are some things on the drawing board, but nothing we're ready to talk about yet. Maybe if we do another one of these in a month or 2, we'll be ready to talk about it then.
Yeah, and Applied Performance Shooting has said stuff I've said before too. If we really need the guns and ammo, the money won't matter anymore. And like I said, that there's reasons you stock up on guns and ammo and stuff like that, because if there's something you need, it makes a hell of a bartering tool. So you got to go where that is. But any other questions y'all can think about? Anything? Let's see here. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I worked with a couple of people, a week or so ago at the range that really weren't, they don't shoot a lot, but they wanted to get better, and I just worked with them. And I'm not a professional, but I shared some stuff with them, and they actually really enjoyed it, and she was super excited about it. And if you can take someone shooting, or if you can show people how to work guns and load magazines and stuff like that, that's never a bad thing. People who are willing to learn and eager to learn, I'm always willing to help. But the people that are just like, hey, defend me, because you should, in a situation where I'm defending myself, if I happen to defend you, hey, that's great. But, you got to look out for yourself and your own family first. Make sure you're safe and they're safe. And if you choose to worry about others, so be it. And also, guys, if y'all would go into the comments, just pop a message in there or something. And if y'all are not following Lynx Defense and Harry's Holsters, please do. Just comment on their channels and subscribe to them. They're going to be putting out some videos, some product launches. Check out their emails. Go sign up so you can get all the latest and greatest updates. If there's any specials, they'll let you know about it. So, there's always good to get the inside track on some stuff. And I'm excited about what Harry has coming out. I'm excited about this new SBR bag. I've been wagging it around and really enjoying it so far. I'm excited about the other thing that Michael has coming out, and we'll be testing it. And like I said, I like to put time behind it. I don't just want to come out and say, hey, this is great. I like to put some true testing behind it, carrying it around, wagging it around. And I'm the guy that'll throw this bag up on the counter at the hotel and just see if anybody looks at it kind of crazy, like, oh my God, that's a rifle bag. I just want to get those people's opinions and see if I get any kind of reactions like that, or if they're just like, oh, it's a big laptop bag, or he has tools in there. I always enjoy kind of getting those looks and seeing what reaction I get, whether it be good or bad.
I carry my Lynx Defense Bronx all around Chapel Hill all the time, and I don't get looked at sideways twice, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah, and I have with my tactical.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Michael.
Chapel Hill is the bastion of our liberal area here in North Carolina.
Yeah. I've carried my Bronx, the big Bronx. I've carried it in Austin before, and I had one guy kind of give me a funny look, but most people just didn't even care what the deal was, and Austin's not Austin like it used to be. It's really gone the opposite way. Here's a question right here that I wanted to throw up real quick. And this is, mention the negatives of putting a round in the chamber and slamming the slide home. What's y'all's opinion on that?
It can mess with the extractor.
Yep. What do you think, Michael?
I'll be honest. I shoot Glocks almost exclusively in the pistol realm. It's not going to bother me. I'm going to send it home.
Well, no. What he's saying is, like, I think inserting a round into the barrel and then dropping the slide, not
letting the extractor, or not letting.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. It's such a rare.
I've seen pistols that have issues.
I feel like it's hitting the fan if you're doing that. You're not going to do it on just a regular range trip, but if you have to do it. But I wouldn't make like a practice of it, I guess.
Yeah, it'll work fine if you do it once or twice, but it's not something you should be. As long as you have a magazine, there's no reason to do it.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. The only reason I would do it is if my magazine blew apart and I didn't have a backup, then that's the way I'm loading the damn thing. But, if people just put the mag in it and rack it, and then drop the mag, put their other, shell in there and load it again, you're good to go. But, sometimes people, they want to fish that down in the barrel and do all that. And I even saw one guy doing it. I physically saw him doing it, and the slide went home on his finger. And then he squealed about that it did it. Because he had his left hand on the gun with his finger on the slide release and was loading the bullet in there, and he sent it home. And then he's like, oh my God. And I'm like,
now, if you have a really expensive gun that you want to do that with, and then you want to sell it to me later for like $20 or 20 cents on the dollar because the extractor screwed up and you don't know why your gun's not ejecting right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's an actual interesting question. Is there a way to make a holster that I can use with or without a light?
Yes, it can be done. You really add a lot of bulk to the holster when you're doing that. Tenicor makes one, and I've seen a couple other companies make them as well. A bunch of other smaller companies. There's been people making those holsters, I think, for 4 or 5. I've seen them around really at least as long as I've been in the business, maybe longer. So it can be done, but it's really not. I don't think it's practical. And to answer Razor's question, what percentage do you think? Curious, of all the questions you get, what percentage do you think would be answered by a good training class? A lot of the questions I get are more specific to the product itself than that. I think I could avoid a lot of follow-up questions I have to ask to understand what the person's really wanting if they took a class to maybe understand more about what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've, back to the holster with the light or without the light, to get the true retention, you need to either have it on the light or you need to have it on the trigger guard. I mean, in my opinion, because I've had some that, will do both and you get a little bit of play, a little bit of rocking. Now, will it work? It'll sit in there. But if you're rolling,
you can get some pretty good retention, just friction off the bottom of the trigger guard, the top of the slide. But it's going to be a fit that most people don't like.
Right. That's what I was going to say. And then when you're rolling around and you're doing cartwheels or whatever, it might stay in there just with the friction. It might not. I would just rather have a specific, either it grabbing retention off the light and you could put multiple pistols in it, but as long as you're using the same light, or, have one without a light that is designed for that. And there's, hell, y'all know this, there's even holsters. I mean, I've even got some of the different styles where that one holster will fit a Glock. It'll fit a 509. It'll fit like 5 different guns. But is it perfect? It's really perfect with one of those, but the other ones will work.
As someone who, and I will say this with a lot of guys still building holsters with blue guns and poured resin molding that changes under heat and use and cycles and all that sort of stuff, you might be surprised. There's some holsters, if they're well made, they will work with a variety of guns without adjustment better than some purpose-built holsters will. So,
yeah. Any other questions that the chat room has for Harry or Michael that they can answer, or any for me, or anything real quick, because we're about to shut this down? For one, I want to, of course, thank the chat room for being on. This is awesome. I really appreciate y'all coming on and listening to these two gentlemen. And for one, I appreciate these two gentlemen being on. They make great products. I definitely support them. I try to support the small business because that's ultimately what makes everything run, so it doesn't turn into Walmart, and push all the little guys out. But, if y'all are interested in any of their products, please check out their website. Go over, check out their products if you're needing a holster or you're needing a bag or anything like that. And the good thing is you're always going to have these gentlemen probably answering any questions you have by email or whatever. Their wealth of knowledge, that's their business. That's not mine. And trust me, I have asked them many questions, given them many suggestions. Sometimes they'll say, you're a dumbass, that won't work. And sometimes they'll say, hey, I see a value in that. But the great thing, they trust my opinion. I mean, I love to carry them and use them and, give any kind of information I can give them and feedback. And I appreciate them for listening to me. But, that's what it's all about. So, but I appreciate you gentlemen being on. And if y'all have any other questions after the chat, please leave them. Harry and Michael they can feel free to come on and answer any questions, or you can hit up their websites if you have any vital stuff or have a question on something versus something that you're going to purchase. They'll help you out too. But and the people buying all the toilet paper, ease up on that, and the families that don't even have any kids and they're buying up all the diapers to resell to the poor moms and stuff. Quit that shit. I mean, we need to all be human beings. But I appreciate you guys for being on. Do y'all have any questions for me?
I just want to thank the chat for coming in and spending the last hour with us. And I want to thank you for having us on.
Sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Big Johnson. Thanks, everybody, for the questions. If you have any more, like you said, reach out. Our websites have contact forms, email addresses. We're probably the ones that respond.
Yep. Well, again, everyone, we appreciate it so much. Y'all have a great night, and always carry on, especially in crazy times like this. Be prepared and carry the correct belt, the correct holster, and the correct gun bag. So y'all have a great night, everyone. I appreciate it. Thanks for being on, and we will talk to y'all later. Take care, everyone. All right, guys, it should have ended. So what'd y'all think about it?
Thought it went pretty well. I checked some of the other chats and our numbers were pretty good for tonight. Seemed like an off night.
Yeah, I didn't know Bald. I saw him talking about it, I guess, on his
It still says live. Does it still say live on yours?
Yeah, it'll be a delay. It's off.
Okay.
Yeah, but looking at this, like right now, Hootie Who's on, which he always gets a ton of people. But even Hank Strange didn't have a lot on tonight, which sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Yeah. Balds didn't have a ton.
It's still live.